Okay, we are here. Welcome everybody to this live call today. And today we have a very special topic that we're going to be talking about because the topic is which country has the best English? And we've talked about something similar to this in the past, but today we're going to really look at the data, the information that tells us who really has the best English. So we're not going to just be talking about opinions. We're going to be talking about the facts. And there are facts. You might not realize it, but there are facts about who has the best English. And so we're going to look at that today. So first, I'm going to go ahead and start sharing my screen, and I'm sure a few more people will join us as we get started here. So on the screen right now, you can see something that is called the English Proficiency Index. The English Proficiency Index. And this is a measurement, this is data about which countries have the best English. And this information separates the world into 5 different regions, 5 areas of the world. So the 5 areas of the world, according to this information, are Latin America, Europe, Africa, Asia, and the Middle East. So these are the 5 regions that we're going to look at today. And these are the 5 regions that this information comes from. So we're actually going to look at each region, and we're going to look at some information about how we can understand which countries have the best English and which ones have the worst English and what that really means. Okay. So before we get started, let me just say hi to everyone. Mukhtar, hi. Amira, Maria, and I see Cecilia has just joined us also. Hi, welcome. And also hello to everyone who is watching on YouTube right now. I see Hari is with us from India. And if you're watching on YouTube, just write in the comments where you're from so that we know where you're from, and so that we know someone from your country is watching right now. And I think that you'll find it very interesting what we're going to share today. Okay, great. Nistani has joined us also. Hello, Nistani. Okay, so let's go back to our map, because today we're really going to focus on using good information, not just our opinions, not just what we think, but information that has been collected from thousands and thousands, millions of people around the world. Okay, so again, on the screen right now, what you see is the English Proficiency Index of 2022. This information has been collected from schools and students from many different countries. You can see that there are some countries that are gray on this map where they have not collected information. So this information is based on the countries that you see with different colors on the map right now, okay? And you can see that they are separated into 5 categories: very high proficiency, moderate proficiency, low proficiency, and very low proficiency. And there are 5 regions that we're going to talk about, 5 regions of the world that this study, that this information looks at. Latin America, which includes Central America, South America, it includes the Caribbean, and it includes Mexico. Africa, I think everyone knows what that is. It includes Europe, and you might be surprised about which countries are included here, because countries like Georgia and Azerbaijan are included in Europe in this information. And Asia also includes countries like Indonesia, Singapore, in this information. And then the Middle East. And the Middle East is separate in this data. So it's not part of Asia. It's separate. So we're going to look at these 5 regions of the world, and we're going to look at why they are rated this way and what this information shows us. So first, let's just look at the good news, right? What are the very high proficiency countries? So number 1 in this study, number 1 is the Netherlands, Holland. They have the highest proficiency score, and they give all of the countries a score, and this is 661. So we'll talk a little bit more later about what those numbers mean and how we can compare them. But for now, let's just look at the top ones and the bottom ones, right? So number 1, the top one in the world is the Netherlands. Number 2, Singapore. Number 3, Austria. Number 4, Norway. Number 5, Denmark. Those are the top 5. And then let's look at the bottom 5. The lowest, and remember, this is not all countries in the world. This is just the countries that you see on the map that have a color, right? So all the gray countries are not included here. So the bottom country in this study, in this research, is Laos, then Democratic Republic of Congo, then Yemen, then Libya, then Rwanda. Okay, so those are the bottom 5 countries. So those are the top 5 and bottom 5. And so now we're going to look at some more information about what that really means. But first, let's go to cities, because they've also done this not just for countries, but also for cities. So let's look at the top 5 and bottom 5 cities. So the top 5 cities are Amsterdam, Copenhagen, Stockholm, Zagreb, and Helsinki. And the bottom 5 are Kinshasa, Abidjan, Mogadishu, Kigali, and Sanaa. So let's go back over here. And I see Melissa is joining us and Michelle has joined us. Hey guys, welcome. And I see over on YouTube, we have another person from India who's joined us and someone from Ethiopia. So if you're watching right now, we're talking about the country that has the best English, countries that have the worst English, and we're using this study, this information from this year, from 2022, that was collected from many countries, from thousands and thousands of people around the world, to understand how well people know English and use English in different parts of the world. Great. So before we talk about what this information really means, Nistani, are you surprised by these numbers? Are you surprised by this map? What surprises you?
Yes, I surprised. I didn't. Yeah, because no, I like this category, but it's surprise. It's good news for me.
It's good news for you.
Yeah. It
why?
means that we need to improve that move other level, highest level. It's gonna be good, I think.
Okay. So on this map, your country, Georgia, is number 45. So it's in the category of moderate proficiency. So compared to other countries, it's in the middle, right? Great. Let's look at, for example, Pakistan. So Pakistan is number 70. It's in the low proficiency category. This means, low proficiency doesn't mean everybody in the country is low proficiency, right? What it means is that the average person, so they interviewed many people, they talked to many people from different schools and people who study English, and the average had a score that was low. So that's what, so Mukhtar, does that surprise you about Pakistan? just if you turn your microphone on, then we'll hear you.
Hello, can you hear
Hi.
me?
Welcome.
Hi. Thanks. Chris, already I know that our country comes in low proficiency. As you can see, our number is 70. So it's something I already know that and this is the proficiency rate in our country.
So it's not surprising.
No, it's not surprising. I understand that.
Okay. Cool. Let's go to Maria. So Maria, Russia is number 40 on this map and this information. What do you think? Is that accurate or is that surprising?
Hello, everyone. Personally, for me, it's surprising because I thought it was lower, much lower than this position. But again, if you look at the cities, it's another situation. And particularly for me, it's about Moscow because I was from there. And of course, I'm glad that the numbers are much higher in the Moscow city than in total around the country.
Okay. So you thought that the total for the country would be lower and you're surprised.
Right, yeah, because moderate, no, it's not the moderate language if we look around the country, because in school the level is very low. After 10 years, people still can't connect to words in English. That's why I'm very surprised that we're in the moderate position. Because the result after leaving school tell the opposite.
Okay. Great, thank you. I see also someone on YouTube said that they're watching from Egypt, and I know that Amira is here from Egypt also. So Amira, Egypt is it's number 85. So it's in the low proficiency category. And does that surprise you?
Lowest this I don't think so. Maybe I think it's not the exact number, but I'm so surprised because we have here many people were educated in private school and maybe go abroad and studied there. So I'm surprised.
You're surprised. You thought it would be higher.
Yes.
Maybe a lot of people study French or German or Spanish.
Another language, yes, maybe.
Okay, great. Cecilia, what about for you? I was a little surprised when I saw Mexico's score. Mexico's number 88.
I'm not surprised. Hello, everyone. I'm not surprised.
You're not surprised?
No, because I knew. I told you last time that we have like about 5% of population that are bilingual. About 5%.
So you're not surprised that it's in the low proficiency category?
Yeah, no, I'm not proud about that rate.
But you're working to improve it because you're a teacher.
Exactly. That's my job. Get rid of that. Yeah.
Okay, great. And Michelle, Brazil is actually in the moderate category. It's number 58 on the list.
I'm completely shocked because I thought that Brazil had a very, very low level of English, but now seeing the screen, the information, it's new to me. She's probably a that we're involving the level of English here in Brazil, because there are a lot of English schools in Brazil, but a very low level of fluency, probably just 1% of the population here in Brazil. But I really didn't know that.
So yeah, it looks like Brazil is right in the middle.
Yes, a very moderate level of proficiency, according to the screen.
But also it looks like in Argentina, people have a higher level of English, and in Colombia, for example, people have a lower level of English.
That's it. I thought that in comparison to other Latin countries, Brazil had a very the lowest level of English.
So this is surprising.
That's it, completely.
Great. Okay, so we also have Melissa here. Hi, Melissa, are you with us? Melissa, you're joining us from the Philippines, right? Okay, well, might not be the best time to speak, but Melissa, can you hear us? We can't hear you or see you. Okay, we'll come back to you. Okay, so let's go check on YouTube. Okay, so we have a lot of people writing here. Okay, someone writing from the Philippines, Myanmar, Poland, Indonesia, Cambodia. So yeah, I think this is an interesting topic, and it's just important that we have good information, right? Because these are not just numbers that I made up. This is a study that they did with thousands of people, maybe millions of people, and it's from one of the biggest countries that has schools in every country, and one of the biggest companies that has schools in every country. And so this is, from tests that they've given people around the world. So yeah, we could look at every country and talk about it, but let's go to the next data. And we can see, for example, in each region, what the highest score is, what the lowest score is, and what the average overall was. So, I mean, if it improved or if it decreased. And we can see that, for example, in Europe, the highest was the Netherlands, but the lowest was Azerbaijan. In Asia, the highest was Singapore, lowest was Laos. In Africa, the highest was South Africa, lowest was Democratic Republic of Congo. In Latin America, Argentina was the highest, Haiti was the lowest. And in the Middle East, Lebanon was the highest, and Yemen was the lowest. And so we can then see also these regional averages for each region. And we can see that the Middle East has the lowest average and Europe has the highest average. And I think about Europe having the highest average, this is probably not so surprising, right? Most people associate English with something about North America and Europe. Also, they did some interesting studies connecting English to more opportunities, connecting English to different parts of life that show that people can compete on the global level. So, for example, productivity, how much countries and individuals produce. And they saw that high English levels, high English proficiency correlated with high productivity. They saw that talent competitiveness, so getting a job, showing your talent, right? They saw that high English proficiency was related to this. Innovation, so technology, creating new things, related to high English proficiency countries. Now, remember, the United States and United Kingdom and Australia, Canada, they're not in here. This is no information from those countries, right? This is only information from the countries that we saw on the map. So next, English and human capital, right? Like people in work. Here are some other statistics and numbers connected to English levels. So different industries, different sectors of the economy. Moderate English level is highly related to fast-moving consumer goods, selling food, drinks, things that you sell many times, things many times, right? Aviation, this is about flying. So airlines, airplanes, media, sports and entertainment. Food and beverage, I would include that in other, I would include those are connected. Information technology. So, and then by the job function. So strategy and planning, accounting and finance, research and development, IT. And then also by the seniority of the job. Seniority, how high the person is in the job position, right? So they separate it into executive positions, manager positions, and staff. And so you can see here that in every region, well, not in every, so you can see that the executive positions don't always have the highest English proficiency, actually. So this is interesting. This is different from what people might think. All right, and then here are a few others. Social mobility. English is highly correlated with social mobility. What is social mobility? Social mobility is being able to move up in society, being able to improve your life, to reach a higher position, a higher standard, to improve your living situation. So, for example, if a person starts low class and they work and work, they can become middle class or high class. This is social mobility. The environment. So this one is a little less correlated. Gender equality. Places with higher English proficiency usually have more equal opportunity between men and women. And English and freedom. Let's just skip that because we don't know what they call freedom. Different people call different things freedom, right? So, okay, now we can look at different regions specifically. So first, I'm going to stop showing this map for a second and just ask you, everyone who's here with me on the call right now, is this interesting to look at these numbers and to think about, to compare different countries and to see, you know, how people connect English with other skills? It is? Yes? No? Chris, shut up. It's good. Okay. Let's go check on YouTube. I see lots of people writing. Okay, from Russia, from Croatia. Oh, okay. Hari from India asks a good question. He says, why do you spread English all over the world? Why do you do that? Hari, I think that started with the British Empire, right? And I don't think that they were the first. I think before that, you had the French Empire, which spread French around the world. And you also had the Netherlands. The Netherlands had the strongest economy and the strongest military in the 1500s, 1600s. And they colonized other countries and spread their language and culture. So I think that it's connected to colonialism. It's connected to empires and it's connected to history in the past, which, you know, it's all connected to the economy, and it's connected to leaders holding power in countries. So, you know, like everything else, it's about money, right? But today, I think it's great that we have the internet to connect us. And it's great that we also have a language that can connect us too, where many people know a language and believe that a language can connect us, that by learning a language that we can be connected. Maybe it's not right that it's English, and maybe in the future it won't be English. But I think it's great that we have at least one language that we can do this, that allows us to do this. And I think if you look in every part of the world, there's something like this on a bigger or smaller level, right? Like in India, for example, Nistani says no. No what, Nistani? So Hari, watching on YouTube, you're just playing with Zoom, Nistani? So Hari on YouTube, I think that, you know, I could ask you the same question, right? Like, why do you spread Hindi all over India? Right? India has so many different languages, but it's great that you have Hindi so you can talk to people in different places, right? The same idea with English, I think. So yeah, so that's the answer. It's probably not a great answer, but I hope that explains a little bit. Hari says, we have a great language, Sanskrit, but we didn't spread our language. We're not selfish. But Hari, you did spread it. Look back at your empire in history. Every great empire did that. Sanskrit was spread to many places. And it also influenced English, and it influenced almost every language in Europe today. So Hari, maybe I understand what you're saying. Yeah, why English? I think Hari is just asking why English, right? So there's a term that we use. We call it lingua franca. Lingua franca. This is a term that we use today. It's not an English term. I mean, we took this from Latin. And it doesn't, so it's kind of strange that we use this term about English today, but it means the general language, the language that everyone uses, the language that can be used in general situations, right? So like if I'm in a place where people only speak Spanish, then English won't help me. I have to speak Spanish. But if I'm in a place where we have people from 10 different countries, probably English will be the language that we can connect on. I mean, it depends which countries, right? But if we have people from every part of the world, then English will be the lingua franca, the general language that we can go to. And of course, we can speak in other languages too, but we can use English as the lingua franca. And other languages in the past have been this also. Great. So let's go back to our map and let's look at different regions and the information that we can see there. So first, looking at Europe. So in Europe, we can see that most of Europe has, you know, moderate proficiency, high proficiency, and this is where we have the most, you know, countries where they speak English or, you know, have a high level of English on average. People have a high average level of English. And then we can also see some scores, some changes. So this shows us the trend. And this is really important for us, the people who have been meeting with me regularly on these calls, trying to start this project of the English Congress. It's important for us to look at the trend. Is it getting better or is it getting worse? Right? So we can see in this map, in this information over here, this chart, that there are some countries where English is getting better, more people are learning English, and in some places less people are learning English. So we can see that, for example, the lowest score here, which is trending down, which means that there's less people learning English, or English is, or less people know English. They're worse at English, basically, right? That's what it's saying. Getting worse each year. And so in this chart, it says Serbia. In Europe, Serbia is trending down, but it says that Russia is trending up, that it's getting better, that more people are studying. So in Europe, it says that the top three are Ukraine, Turkey, and Russia. And the bottom three are Switzerland, Austria, and Serbia. This doesn't mean that they have bad English, and it doesn't mean that Ukraine, Turkey, and Russia have good English. You can see on the map that it says Turkey has, a lower, it's in the lower category. But it means that these countries are improving, are getting better, or getting worse, right? Okay, let's go to Asia. So in Asia, we can see the same information here in the same chart, the same trends. And so the top three countries here are Sri Lanka, Mongolia, and Kyrgyzstan. These ones are trending up, right? They're getting better. It doesn't mean that these are the top English-speaking countries now. It means that they're making the most improvement now. They're improving the most now. The top countries in Asia are listed as Singapore, Philippines, and Malaysia, where more people, they have a higher average. And then the countries that are trending down, that are getting worse at English, are China, Philippines, and Tajikistan. Okay, moving to Latin America. So the top countries for averages here are Argentina, Costa Rica, and Cuba. But the countries making the biggest improvements are Nicaragua, Ecuador, and Haiti. And then the countries making the smallest improvements are Argentina, Bolivia, and Dominican Republic. And then if we go to Africa, we can see the top countries are South Africa, Kenya, and Nigeria. But the countries making the biggest improvement are Somalia, Tanzania, and Ghana. And the countries making the lowest improvement are, where English is decreasing, Mozambique, Angola, and Democratic Republic of Congo. And then in the Middle East, the top countries here are Lebanon, Iran, and Qatar. And the countries that are making the biggest improvements are Qatar, Syria, and Yemen. But the countries that are decreasing are Lebanon, Iran, and Oman. So you can see that some countries have a very high level now, but maybe they're decreasing. Some countries have a low level now, and they're increasing. So let's see, did we have Nepal on here? Let's see, what was Nepal? Yes, Nepal was number 65 in this study. In the low proficiency category, I'll just pull this map up again. We had Nepal number 65 here. And we have Sumitra with us, who is from Nepal. Hi, Sumitra. Does this surprise you that they say that the average English proficiency in Nepal is low? Does this surprise you?
Not really. Actually, I think growth is like people are started learning English, and their learning growth is, I think, it's better than before, obviously. I think in city areas, in the capital cities, people mostly they can speak and understand. But in the rural areas, yeah, still they don't know English at all. But yeah, it's a problem.
So it's there's a big difference between urban areas and rural areas.
Yes, yes.
Do you think that it's improving, or it's getting worse, or it's staying the same? What do you think?
I think it's improving because people have started learning English, and they understand the importance of English. So I think it's improving compared to previous days.
Interesting. Thanks. All right, great. So now I want to ask everyone who's here with me a different question. Based on this information, after looking at this information, which country needs the most help? Or which country would be the best to focus on? Like, which country do you think can get results? If we had to pick only one place, because you can't help everyone at the same time. You have to choose one place, one country or one city or one group of people. If we had to help just one, then which country would be the one to start with? Let's ask Joe. Hey, Joe, welcome.
Hi, thanks.
So I'm not sure if you heard everything from the beginning of our call today.
Yeah, I mean, I think I started to hear when you were talking about the trending, the trending in the country. Okay. That's when I started to.
Yeah, so this map that you see on the screen now is from the averages of the countries, from thousands or millions of people who they tested, and they took the averages of each country, but it only includes the countries that you see that have a color. So the United States, Australia, they're not here. Some countries in Asia and Africa, and so some countries in different parts of the world are not here, but yeah. So what do you think based on this information?
Well, yeah, I mean, that's what I think, because to be honest, I don't know. I mean, like, I have like something in my mind, like I want to choose one, but as you said, so it's like I think there are also like many of them, that should be. Maybe there will be something that we could do to help, for example. But I would go to the ones that I don't know. I think it also depends, because, for example, when it says a very low proficiency, so what involves all of that? Like, for example, I don't know, maybe they have problems with a certain thing, like, I don't know, like grammar, let's say, right? So this is something that we can help in the very low proficiency, for example. So for them to start building the correct structure of the language, like sentences, etc., so they can express themselves better. But of course, if we have too low proficiency, maybe they have problems with another thing, like, I don't know, speaking or something, because we have also this, like, I think it depends on the skills that we're getting from like levels, I think.
Good. Very good. Yeah. Good. That's great. Thank you so much for saying that. So, right, we need to find out why they have this score. We need to find out why they're in this category, right? Before we can make a plan to help, or to really understand what the number next to the country means. Okay, so let me say it again for everyone. And Joe, you can take a minute to think about it. We'll come back to you, okay?
Okay.
So let me just say it again. So you need to choose one country where you think that maybe you or we could make a difference, where we could help people to improve their score on this map. But you cannot choose your country, and you cannot choose a country that speaks your language. Okay? That will make it more interesting. So so great. I think that'll be more honest. Excellent. Okay, so let's do this. So here are the scores. I'll try to make it a little bigger. Okay. And then we can't see everybody. Okay, well, there it is. That's the biggest that we can go. So let's see. Michelle, what do you think? If you had to choose just one.
Well, I cannot choose my own country, so I would say that China would be the one that I would pick. But since it's not very close to my country, I would say Mexico. But first, I will need to gather some information about the kind of relationship that Mexico has to with the English language to give a better answer. The kind of relationship the people in Mexico in general have with English.
Yeah, that's like what Joe said.
That's it.
And so how do you think you can find that information? We're trying to understand what stops people from learning English, right?
Probably the mindset would be one of the main. I'm not really, I'm just guessing, but based on what I've been hearing from people from there, the mindset would be one of the main problems related to learning English, acquiring English as a second language, as a foreign language. But I think that I will need to know first what kind of skill specifically they struggle the most. To provide a better kind of help.
Right. We need to understand what help they need before we help them. Right.
Yes. Which skills they struggle the most. So
right. And what is holding them back? Right. What's stopping them?
That's it.
Okay. Let's see. Mukhtar, what about you? What do you think about this question and about this information?
So could you say it again?
Yeah.
Could you say it again?
What do you think about choosing about this question? Choosing one country where we maybe can help people improve their English?
Yeah, and you said that that country does not speak your language.
Right.
Okay, so like our neighboring country, like Iran, China, and we can help them to improve.
Iran or China.
There are a lot of other countries which does not speak my country's language. So we can collaborate with anyone of such country where our national language is not spoken. Because it is an international language where you can communicate all over the world with any country. So this is why the people are learning this language, because this is the only language you can communicate with every country, with everyone. So we can help them we can help them. Basically, the 4 categories you have shown us on the website. So randomly, I will take the last 2 categories. I know that my country also falls in 3rd category, low proficiency. But the reason is this, that we are here, have not such chance to communicate every day or practice every day, because the national language of our country is Urdu, not English. So there are a lot chance to improve it. Many of people are already speaking it. But if you can say that, if you ask me which country you will nominate or to improve, so I will have 2 or 3 options. As one of my neighboring countries, Iran, and their language is Persian. They don't even if you have a chance to go there, so you can't communicate in English, because the new generation is learning it. But if you go to the market or any other place, so you will definitely have problems to communicate them. So you have to use sign language to them, just like that. So I would say that Iran or China is still improving a lot because of having a vast market in the whole world. So
Right.
I would say Iran is my neighboring country, and we can improve. We can help.
Great. Thanks,
This is
Muftan. So this brings up another question then, right? Because I think in a lot of the countries where people who are here with us today live, and people who watch on YouTube, I think in your country, English is not the official language. People don't usually speak English day to day. But the same is true. The same is true in Sweden, Norway, Finland, and Denmark. Right? Norway, Denmark, Sweden, Finland. The same is true there, but they have high English proficiency. Or Poland, Germany. Is it because they're closer to England? Is that why? Or not? Also, number 2 on this list is Singapore. Singapore in Asia, right? So they also, do they speak English in their country every day? Or, right? I think in many of these countries, people speak another language day to day. So why is it that in some countries people can become proficient and in others they can't? What do you think? What's missing? Joe, maybe you have some ideas to join us in the discussion again.
Yeah, I was writing something here.
Okay.
No, the thing is that, for example, you said that maybe it's because they're close to England, but I think it would be the same with Mexico, for example, because we're close to the US. But, well, the thing is, I think it's something more cultural or something. That's what I believe. Because, problems that people in here, they might have is that they don't believe they can travel to, for example, other countries, So, or maybe work in another country. And that's one of the reasons why not so many people, they are into English. When it comes to a job, we're getting a job, right? So for other things, maybe they just want to work, in a great company, for example. It seems like it happens in Brazil, because I talked to some friends from Brazil, and they tell me as well that it's because they want to get into a nice company so they can work, because they also have meetings in English with people from other countries, etc. But yeah, I was thinking about something else, but it's Yeah, but I just the idea just is gone. But I was gonna say, yeah, because I started with this. But yeah, I think also I don't know, it depends also on the culture, you know. Something else is um how well you feel with you know, like with another language, because I think something that happens in here and also in Latin America, because I talk to a lot of people from Latin America at least, and it's that they you know, they're afraid of using the language, I think. So that, I think that's why I was going to pick up one a Latin American country to help,
Mm-hmm.
because they have, you know, these problems with because they believe they don't speak well, because they have, you know, this problems in like self-confidence is something that they have a lack of. And I think that would be something great to help. Just maybe depending on I mean, related to my background, because I also have the same problem, and I would love to help people in this way. Also, something else just to finish, I think I would also help a country from Latin America because they speak my language, you know, my native language. And I don't know, maybe it's just because I haven't taught anyone from another country. I mean, from a country where they don't speak like my language, or maybe a related language like Portuguese or French or Italian, that they're from the same root. But I don't know, I believe it would be hard also to help them because I don't speak the language. I don't know what the language structure is. And so maybe to, I don't know, use it to compare it with English or something. So that's why I would prefer to help a Latin American country like I don't know, for example, it could be Peru, for example,
Mm-hmm.
just to help them, you know, to overcome with these issues they might have with the language.
Okay, got it. So it's mostly about mindset, about mentality.
That's what I believe.
Okay, cool. Thanks, Joe. Melissa, Joy, welcome. Melissa. Hi. We can't hear you. You might need to check your audio settings because we can't hear you. Yeah, check your audio. I saw that you turned the microphone on, but I think it's the wrong microphone. So check your audio settings. We can't hear you. Maria, what about you? I saw that you said, let's just choose a random country, but you know, Joe said that he thinks that in Latin America, people have some problem with confidence and mentality about the language. Do you think the same is true where you live, or is it different? Everyone in your country is confident.
Not at all. No, I think the level of knowledge in English depends on our educational system, first of all, because it's on a very low level. And it was always that kind of stuff. That's why most of Russian people speak on a very low, bad level of English. So I think we should start with the educational system first, where we have partnership programs, where we have exchanging programs, when we can motivate our students and they have this opportunity of practice their knowledge of English. In this way, it will work.
Mm-hmm. Where do you think there's a better educational system?
In Europe, I guess, because they depending on, again, educational system, they have lots of such kind of scholarship for helping students go abroad and practice their skills. So in Europe, I guess. And as we can see with these data, they speak themselves.
Mm-hmm. I remember learning Spanish at school in the United States, and I think almost everyone in the United States learns Spanish for 1 year, 2 years at school. After school, I think less than 1%.
They forgot it.
Nobody knows any, you know, maybe 2 words, and that's it. And Yeah, no one can speak it. And it's sad because you spend a lot of time learning it at school or trying
Right.
to get a good score on a test or an exam, but then you never use it.
Yeah.
I think it's the same
Fast
with,
results with no next consequences of knowledge.
yeah. I think it's the same with English in many countries.
Yeah.
Great. All right. So yeah, today we were just looking at this information, this data. I thought it might be interesting and useful for everyone to see. I found it interesting when I found it, and hope that everyone who watched enjoyed it and understands that this is not something that I decided. I didn't write those numbers. I didn't choose this. This was from information that they collected from lots of people around the world, but it gives us a good idea of where to look for people who, right, like we talked about today, where there are some problems that we might find with the process of learning English, why in some places people can learn English and in others they cannot or have a harder time. Maybe it's about mindset, maybe it's about culture, maybe it's about the educational system. Maybe it's about opportunities to speaking practice, to have speaking practice. But for whatever reason, it's clear that in some places people are improving more than in others. And so it gives us a good place to focus. Great. That's it for today. If there are any other questions, you can click the raise hand button. You can raise your hand. You can write it in the chat. I'm going to just go over and check YouTube real quick and make sure I didn't miss any questions there. How can I join? Please join me. I want to be a member of this group. So yeah, just for everyone who's watching, we have a speaking club where we have meetings like this. It's called English Every Day, and I've just sent the link in the chat on YouTube. So that might be interesting if you want to have a group where you speak about different topics. It's not always about this, but it's to help practice speaking English. And for anyone who's a teacher, we have a program that helps teachers start and grow their teaching business online. So if that's something that you're interested in, I've just sent a link to a free training. It's a free 7-day training. And then the last link that I will send everybody today is a link to a free 1-hour tutorial that I created called Level Up. And this talks about how you can use English to grow your influence, impact, and income. So how you can use English to do things that you want in life, not just learning English, but using the English that you learn. Thanks a lot, everybody, for coming to our call today. And I will see you next time if there are no other questions. I'll see everybody next time. Bye-bye.